I recently had to make a really tough decision that I'm not particularly happy with, but it was sacrificing short term gratification for long term gain. And when I say it like that, it does make it sound like I did make the right decision, but let me explain it a little bit. About 5 months ago, I ended up signing up for my first marathon. I'll link it above and you can check it out, see how the overview went, and basically get a little snapshot of what I thought of it and how it went. But I ended up signing up for that first marathon. Training was going really well. And for context, that marathon was basically halfway across the country. So a lot of my family wasn't able to come out, support me, and watch me. And there's a local marathon here. They said I should sign up for that so they would be able to come out, support me, watch me. And I didn't really think anything of it. I thought I would be able to run this marathon. And then it's about a month and a half after the first marathon, the second one that's local here. I figured I would just be able to roll right back into training. Everything would be fine. And then I would be able to run the second marathon. They would be able to watch me. But one thing I didn't end up considering was getting injured. So after that first marathon, I took a day off and then I slowly started to get back into it. And then a few days after that marathon, I got a really sharp pain in my foot and I just hoped that it went away. So I gave it a couple weeks, rested, didn't run or anything, and I was hoping that the pain would go away. It didn't go away, so I ended up going for x-rays. X-rays came back. I had a stress fracture in my foot. So the doctor ended up saying, hey, can't run on your foot, can't jump on your foot, try not to put pressure on it. So that's basically what I did for the next, close to a month. And then they said at the end of the month, we'll get another x-ray, see what the results come back. So I ended up doing that. I got the results back. The fracture was healed, but they said that the bone was still bruised and still inflamed. And to slowly ease back in, I can. And then I was like, can I run this marathon? They're like, probably not. I was like, what if I take it easy? They're like, so after I got those results, it was about 2 to 3-ish weeks before my next marathon, that one that's local here that I would have family come out and watch me. And they said, it's probably not the smartest thing to do. It's got to slowly ease back into it. So that's what I was starting to do. I was going on my runs and my foot felt fine, and during the runs at least, and then maybe during the week, maybe a couple days after, I felt discomfort in my foot. Wasn't permanently throughout the day. It was just random here and there. So I knew I wasn't at 100%. I was maybe at 90, 95% on a good day. Everything felt fine, but there was just a little bit of discomfort for my mind to think, hey, you're not 100%, you're not good to go. But then I was also having some haters saying, hey, you can't do this. And that really like boiled me up. They're like, you have no idea what an actual marathon would be like. It's not the same as just running on the road. I'm like, you have no idea who I am. And I really wanted to go out there and prove these haters wrong and be like, yeah, I told you I could do it. And I strongly believe that I could have actually went out there and I could have actually finished that marathon. The only thing is I probably would have taken it really easy. I wouldn't have gone out as hard as I would have liked. So it basically would have just been to run a marathon to prove them wrong and potentially risk long-term injury here where I'm not going to be able to train for my Ironman, because right now my main goal is to train for this Ironman. It's not to run this marathon. I can always run another marathon. I know I can run another Ironman, but I've already run a marathon. My main goal right now is to run this Ironman, not really run, but to do all the events for the Ironman. So that's my main goal right now. And if I were to run that marathon, it could potentially put me out for another month, potentially 6 months, potentially put me out for a whole year where I'm not able to run. Maybe I might not even be able to bike because that injury comes back and maybe it's a full fracture. Maybe I break my foot. And that's where the short-term gratification versus long-term gain comes in, because I'm typically always thinking shorter term, which I need to start flipping to start thinking really long term and what's going to be best for me long term as opposed to short term, because I'm willing to sacrifice some struggle and maybe some hardships and potential injury to push myself during those tough times, but it might be sacrificing those long term gains. So in a sense, I am a little bit happy that I am thinking more long term and I'm not pushing myself, because I know for a fact that I could have ran that marathon. I just don't know the potential risk to reward on it, because if I were to run that marathon, now I'm running this marathon, potentially putting up not a great time that I'm very satisfied with, and I just ran it, and now all of a sudden I got another injury. So ultimately I decided to opt for not actually running this marathon. That's one thing that might be good for you to know if you are signing up for, say, a marathon, is figuring out when the deferral date is to maybe push it back to next year if you do get injured or something comes up where you're not able to run in the marathon. Because I did try to reach out to them. I was past the deferral date, and I wasn't able to defer it to the next year because I missed that date. And I could have easily done it before, but I decided to wait to the last minute, which is on me, and that's my fault. So that's maybe one thing that you can consider. But I realized my ultimate goal is this Ironman, not this marathon. I was also thinking that I've already put 2 months into waiting and not running because I'm trying to let my foot heal. Why am I going to potentially ruin that? And now I'm going to have to do more waiting to get back to running form. And this whole process kind of taught me a few different things. The one I already mentioned, figure out when the deferral date is for your marathon if you do want to push it back. And the second one is focus on your long-term goals over your short-term goals, because you got to think what's going to be best for you in the long term as opposed to the short term. So this is an area where I've struggled with a bit, where I sacrifice long-term gain for that short-term gratification. It might be that shiny object I just might see and then I go towards it, or whatever it might be, where I'm sacrificing that long-term gain. So it's just teaching me to not compromise my values and my long-term gains. And this is just something that has been going through my mind right now, where I'm really mad, I guess you could say, or upset, whatever the verb is, that I didn't actually compete in this marathon, that I backed out, that I quit, I guess you could say. And I just wanted to document this process a little bit because this is something that I did have to make a decision on. And I'm trying to document this whole process for the Ironman. And this could have pushed me back a whole bunch of, maybe I might have to defer the Ironman because I would have gone in the marathon. I would have risked my injury, and then I wouldn't have been able to train for this Ironman. And then maybe I would have had to defer that. So it's just documenting this process and decisions that I'm having to make. But I do believe in the bigger picture, which is the Ironman. And I do believe that I made the right decision focusing on that long-term gain and my main goal, which is the Ironman. So just want to say thanks for watching. This is kind of a bit of me talking to myself at the same time, because I do need to start thinking more long-term and 5, 10, 15 years out in advance, as opposed to what am I going to do next week? What am I going to do next month? And maybe tomorrow. So it's just trying to think more long term, and maybe that'll shift your mindset a little bit where you can start thinking longer term as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I just wanted to get on here, I guess, rant a little bit and document the process of decisions that I had to make for Ironman. And I do think this is going to be a beneficial one. Hopefully it is. I can get back into running. Little side note, I did end up running today. My foot felt fine on the run. It's usually the following day or two. We'll see how it goes, but thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.